We also offered the local young and strong men, builders, to also work together with us. And also in the beginning, when we had the master masons from Egypt, many people come from far to actually witness the first major dome that very few are known to exist in this condition, this way, this kind of dome here in the northern hemisphere, except more south of the border in Mexico and in the Hispanic world, where many churches are also built in similar ways.
I do not think that there is anything exactly like this in terms of the buildings, the facilities, but of course there are nowadays many Islamic centers who have rural settings or urban settings depending on their situation, and so the essence of the educational facilities is present in many other places, but the way this looks is unique for the United States of America. For a long time it was the biggest adobe structure in the country. I think that the adobe buildings in Powake have a bigger square footage than our facility, but until then this was the biggest adobe facility in the country.
كل ما صنعه المهندس المعماري حسن فتحي تم تصميمه على الطراز النوبي، وتمت إضافة لمسات نيومكسيكية لإعطاء ملمح محلي لدار الإسلام.
So here we are inside the mosque that was first built. As you see the beautiful arches and the main dome here in the middle, and the mihrab here in front, our direction to prayer. And so here's where we first learned to use this traditional technology, interesting system for flooring that we brought here. And we installed a airtight stove, because this is a cold region, to warm the mosque in cold times. And then we have the mushrabiyah that was placed between the men's section and the women's section in order to give the ladies the privacy that they need when nursing children and having to tend to children that sometimes might disrupt the sermons and the khutbahs. That was put in place. That really reminds us all of the North African culture that had developed for 1,000 years. And so, and then at that point when the mosque was finally done and we were praying regularly here, then we came to start the school, the madrasa.
جدران دار الإسلام سميكة جدا للاحتفاظ ببرودة المكان في الصيف وبدفئه في الشتاء. الأعمال الخشبية هي أعمال يدوية قام بها الفنان المحلي بنيامين فان هاتم. زاره عبد الرؤوف والتر دي كليرك في بريطانيا وقال له إنهم يريدون شخصا يقوم بكل أعمال الأثاث في دار الإسلام. عندها انتقل فان هاتم إلى أبيكيو. يمكن أن ترى أعماله في جميع أنحاء المسجد. لقد أحيت دار الإسلام القرية. فالمجتمع الإسلامي الصغير كان يتطور بالفعل مع التقدم في بناء دار الإسلام، وبدأت تقام في المسجد شعائر صلاة الجمعة.
We would drive on Fridays. We would drive up the hill to the for our Friday Juma prayer, and there was the families would attend. There were There was always classes going on in the mosque for Quran, learning Arabic. Several years into the construction, I transferred to work in the office, Dar al-Islam office, and I was office manager for 3 years. And from that, we began a madrasa, and I transferred to work as the office manager in the madrasa, and I worked there until for a number of years, and it was a very enriching experience.
من أهداف المدرسة الهامة تطوير منهج دراسي إسلامي قوي.
My children were in the madrasa, and at one time we had 100 children in the madrasa, and we had approximately 40 families that lived in Dar al-Islam. And we had grades, kindergarten through high school. It was a very, as I said, a very rewarding and rich experience. And I came to know many people, and I still have those relationships today. And the friends that I made, I know them and their children and their grandchildren now. So I feel very blessed for that experience.
And so, alhamdulillah, we were working, and we worked on this project for many years. I became the bus driver and the caretaker of the grounds and of the madrasa while the school was functioning. And I built the playground in front, and in the front of the madrasa, and built the stages for theatrical performances, etc. And some of the people who came to teach at the school and you know, helped to teach those who wanted to stay here or could stay here, their children, the basics of Arabic and Quranic readings and hadith, etc., as well as science and other things that, of course, everyone needs to learn in school.
There was one gentleman, he was of the Christian faith, and he had come to New Mexico because he was interested in the artwork and the building field, and he was really interested in the construction and the architecture of the mosque, and also he was a tile maker and tile setter, and he joined us on the work crew, and during this period he embraced Islam, and he also helped in the making and setting of the tiles in the mosque.
We had some brothers, interested people that came to contribute to the project and were thus inspired and decided to take their shahada of the Islamic faith. And so that was inspirational to us, those who had already embraced this most wonderful teaching and way of life that we enjoy every day. And we gave good talk to the local villagers who are strongly Catholic in nature and background, and they were tolerant and patiently listened, and also, I think, came to understand a lot of principles that are good about Islamic ways of life. Where we may perform well and bear the
في الوقت الذي انتهينا فيه من بناء مجمع دار الإسلام تضاءلت الوظائف وكذلك المجتمع الإسلامي، وفي النهاية أغلقت المدرسة.
And so it was a very good experience for all of us. Me, as a real Mason, much appreciated the knowledge that was learned here. and that added to my unique experience based in going all the way from modern concrete and then to traditional adobe building, as well as contemporary buildings of vaults and domes and compressive structures.
The facility is used now for some of our own programs, which are educational programs, and then we also host other organizations who like to use this facility for their programs, for the three type of programs that they have. So we make the facility available for other groups whose programs are in harmony with our activities. The Teachers Institute, which is a program that Dar al-Islam has been running since 1994, is usually an annual 2-week event where especially non-Muslim teachers, educators, attend this and become familiar with the basic issues of Islam and Muslims. They learn about what is the worship or the Islamic worship and the Muslim history, and they learn to understand the difference between Islam as such and what Muslims do or not do in the name of Islam. So when they go back to the classroom, they do not have to repeat the stereotype media notions that they have from the American media about Islam. So they have a basic understanding of the tenets of Islam and the history of the Muslim people, and so they can be more meaningful to their students. Scholars who we bring in for our programs not only speak English fluently, but they also speak the cultural language so that they can communicate with participants of the programs and not be hindered by cultural misunderstandings that you might have. For example, in a Middle Eastern culture, when you talk to somebody, it can be construed as rude if you look the person in the eye, especially if it's a person of another gender. While in our North American culture, if you do not look a person in the eye, you might be considered to be something sneaky. So that's one of the, for example, the differences between culture. Obviously, in terms of dress, you know, we dress as, most of us dress as the majority of the American people dress. We don't walk around in public in robes and turbans, although during some of the programs, that's how people might dress. But in general, we blend into the culture that is present around us. What people in the Middle East need to realize is that the flavor of Islam in America is more and more becoming an American version of Islam. And we are not interested in trying to replicate an Arabic culture here. We are interested in representing the face of an authentic Islam in the context of an American culture.
My experience in Dar al-Islam is one that I'll carry with me for the rest of my days, and I always have this desire within me to return to Abiquiu and to live there and to be buried there, and that would be very important for me. I feel that at this Dar al-Islam right now at this point is a gem waiting to be polished again.
تبقى دار الإسلام لبنة العقيدة ومكان الصلاة والسلام والعبادة لكل روادها.